overview of color scale efficiency. Let's take a look at that. So we're going to look at each level on the color scale and what that looks like in terms of efficiency. So we've got our color scale, and then we've also got the different mode that the business is in. So you can kind of see that depending on the mode that the business is in, oftentimes it's in a certain level of efficiency. Because masterpiece mode, when the business is in there, it means the heart neurons are leading the way, the brain neurons are aligned, and the stomach neurons are aligned. Okay, so let's take a look at red. So red efficiency means it's fighting, it's grinding, it's hustle, it's pushing, it's forcing. Okay, and again, this can absolutely get results. Of course it gets results. It's just that it's the lowest on the terms of output. It's when we talk about impact, it has the least amount. Better than nothing, of course, but it has the least. And also, it has the highest taxing on the body, okay? Because these are states of stress. Fighting, grinding, hustling, more and more hours, these are states of stress. So when the body is in a state of stress, it isn't allowed to recover and rest and fully digest. So if the body isn't able to rest and recover, and then it's not even able to digest fully properly, that means the nutrients that it's even eating aren't even being able to be fully extracted. So there's a compounding, taxing effect that is bad when it comes to this. And this is the land of burnout. It's like a ticking time bomb because you can fight in your grind, but if you don't recharge, there's only a matter of time. And if we, yeah, and usually with this one is, since it's like fighting, we'll use a fighting analogy. So it's like, if we just make it in terms of like a gun, you can only fire a gun so many times before there's no bullets left. And this whole philosophy is where a lot of entrepreneurs get stuck in, and this is where I got stuck in too. Is like, all right, I always got to go, I got to grind. If I'm not doing it, then I'm being weak. Well, it's like, even you can't shoot blanks and be effective. And using this war analogy, because that's the land of war in the red. Okay, so going numb with gray is, oftentimes it's going numb. You don't want to do it, so you just find a way to just go numb and check out and get it done, or you give it to somebody else, which can be kind of good if you're delegating in the right way or figuring out ways where problems don't even need to be created because you're avoiding them. However, it's a slippery slope, because otherwise it can be very closely be pushing things off to other people when it should be your own thing to do, or even pushing off it further into the future when you should be able to do it right now. Okay? And yellow is forcing yourself to do it for the cause. Okay? So you have a purpose bigger than yourself. You have a mission of service, and you're like, I don't want to do this, but this thing is like my North Star. It's like leading you forward. Okay? So it's like you have the right reasons within you. There is a level of, there's just a level of purpose there. Yet you don't want to do it, so you're like, I have to force myself to do this. And this is an area where a lot of discussion needs to happen, because when we're transitioning a business from, say, yellow that finally got out of the red, found its purpose, so it's out of the gray, and the transition from yellow to green, there's some times where it's like, man, this exact thing happens where you want to do it for the cause, but it's just like, God, this is the last thing I want to do when it comes to business things. So the whole game of moving a business from yellow to green is, okay, here's these things I don't want to do. How can I navigate this to feeling green? Maybe it's moving myself into a different environment and then doing those activities. Maybe it's bringing somebody on board to help do them. Maybe it's bringing someone on board to co-work where there's shared energy, and then it kind of like helps you get into green. This takes a skill, and I've guided people through this process where, man, it's like one friend comes to mind. He had a software company. He was building some systems that, he just was not, he loved being the star and being out and selling it. It was his zone. And but he had these things he had to do. So he found instead of just pushing through and grinding it out, what's a way that we can make this green? And we found that if he moved his workspace outside for that particular time, that made it feel a little bit better, a little bit more green energy. Also found out if we switched the frame, that he was going to be building systems during this chunk of work. So it was literally the last time he had to do this ever again, because he was delegating it out to each of the team members. Okay, so he's creating a process. So that changes something. Otherwise, it's kind of the energy of like, oh, I just have to do this thing that I don't want to do, and I'm just going to have to do it again. No, you can switch it like, okay. And again, this is highly personalized to whichever situation you're going. I'm just giving an example. So we found that, and then we also found how one piece he could do, and then another piece could be actually delegated for somebody who wasn't going to be doing that, but if you positioned it in the right way, which we did, then they could hop on board. So all of a sudden, his work shrank to this amount. He put himself in a fun environment that was green for him. And it also had the added effect of, okay, I'm building a system so that I'll never have to do this again, and it's always going to work like a conveyor belt. All of those things stacked up for it feeling green for him, whereas previously, it was at best bottom of yellow, if not red. He just didn't feel like doing it. And what happened is he blasted through that, and it was smooth. It was good. So this is an example of like in every moment we can navigate and find the green path, sometimes even blue, or we can just bite the bullet and just grind it out. But oftentimes what happens is there's procrastination in there. There's subpar results, because if you're not really putting your heart into it, I mean, at best, it's just going to be it's not going to be exceeding expectations when your heart's not into it. We know that's common sense. So this is one example, but all of these stack up. And as if you're, going in with the red energy and you do it, then those create different results for people, or you have an impact on your team. And one small decision really makes different results. And that's the whole goal here, is that in terms of efficiency, in these decisions, these are actually the make or break moments. So let's take a look at green. It feels light and flows fast. And just like in the example with my friend, that's what we found. We found a way where this workload, which felt very heavy to him, maybe a little bit of yellow because he knew it was building a business he liked that had more leverage for him. But we found a way to how can we position it, how can we mold it a bit so that it feels light and it's flowing fast, and there's actually excitement there, because excitement is bottom of green. It's the first part of the green. It's feeling the passion. You feel it. Okay, it feels light. And then you blasted through it. Did really great. Okay, and that's what we want to find in every moment, is like, okay, well, every hour. And it's building a skill. So especially in the beginning, and just with anything, you're probably not going to be able to find the green 100% of the time, but maybe you can find it 30% of the time more than before, and then next 50, and then 70, and then it becomes a way of life where you are always in the green, and you can feel when something goes out of green, and then it's like, oh, okay, let me just make an adjustment there. Boom, it comes back in the green, and there's this momentum flowing continuously. And really, that's where the most happiness lies, because passion, purpose, and profit. The business is working, your heart's in it, and you're moving towards your mission. It's lovely. It's lovely. And then that's where kind of like a magnetism starts happening, because you're genuinely happy. You're genuinely happy, instead of like in the red where it's always a battle. And as we know, just common sense, when someone feels happy, genuinely happy, that's a nice quality. That's a magnetic quality. And so it just makes common sense that as we're in that happier state, we get better opportunities. We get new opportunities. Maybe we make the most of the things that come across our desk, so to speak, and all those little things start adding up. And again, focus of the module is increasing your impact. And this is like the invisible way of how that happens. Whereas the other version of ourselves that's always in the red, saying it's just like, oh, is it going to make the most of those opportunities? Probably not. Is it going to be the most magnetic energy to be around? Probably not. So we have the option. We really do in every moment. And so it's getting used to the skill and making a way of life of flowing in the green and then noticing when things are not. But it does take some transition, because it takes modifying the things in our life and business that perhaps aren't green yet. And it is a transition process, and that's why it takes some time, and that's why the masterpiece technology helps find these different parts, and then we can take action. And as we move more and more parts of our life and business up the color scale, results flow faster. The green energy flows easier. In blue is less is more. Less is more. So in the red, it's all about how can we work more? How can I produce more? And in the blue, it's about how can I work less? The least amount. Because in blue, it's about having the system set up around us where one small tweak creates big gains. And so the interesting thing is the hallmark of blue is peace. So it's this rhythm and this concept of creating peace in our personal life, creating peace in our business life, creating peace around us in our home, in our office, and protecting that peace. Because when we protect that peace, there's space for these blue ideas that are subtle, that are simple, that those little ideas, boom, make big gains and save weeks and weeks of work, if not months, and they make things move faster. So the interesting thing is that the benefit of being in blue is less is more. You don't have to do as much to get more gains. And also the motto basically of blue is less is more, meaning it's an intentional practice of making sure we're working this small amount, because we know if we work more than that, then we're shutting ourselves off to the blue ideas. Because the blue ideas need space to come through. They need peace and they need space. So the example of this, and this is just, a ballpark estimate, it's like red, let's say bottom red, it's like that's 100-hour plus work weeks. That's 100-hour work weeks. Blue, we're talking like 1-hour work weeks. And it takes work getting there, of course. And we need to have the systems. We can't just snap our fingers and be there. We've got to have the systems around us. Okay? So this is a ballpark item of this. See where you feel like you're most at right now on average. And let's take a look at how we can get green momentum, green rhythm, green ideas into more and more of the daily activities. I'll see you in the next video.